everyone, and welcome to another live on a Tuesday noon-ish time. I'm happy to be here today with you, and I would love to talk about the standout and the standout assessment and why I think this is important for any leader to know about themselves. How do they lead, and how are they seen to be leading, which is very different than what we think about ourselves, right? So I just created this offer for you that this month, which is my birthday month, I'm going to be happy to share with you the assessment, which you could take for free. And I'm going to put again the link if you like to see it. And if you have about 15 minutes, that's all you need, 20 max. And then you're going to receive by email 13 pages assessment in very much for detail, highlighting your first two strengths and the way you are leading and the way that you are seen by others. So it's going to be very informative for you to know that about yourself. But if you want to go a step further, I will invite you to send me a quick DM and let me know that you want to have a 90-minute discussion about your assessment. I will be able to go in more depth, and I'll be able to see and tell you more about what you could do with those results. So please don't take this lightly. It's over an hour of going in a detail and talking about yourself. It's something that I would love to gift you because this is my birth month. Just what you have to do is to take the test, take the assessment. It's not a test, it's an assessment. Then send me a quick DM. I will send you my link to the 90-minute calendar that I have for this. And then you pick up the time and together we're going to meet. I also mentioned in another video that it's good for you not to rush into this debrief, which is the assessment debrief that I'm offering you, because I would like for you to take a look at it, read it a little bit, share it with someone that you know they know you, and see what they say about it, and also come back, put it aside, and come back after a few days and look at it, and then have the conversation with me. It's going to be so much more revealing and so much more useful for you if you take your time to, if you make the time to give it to yourself, this gift of finding out how are you showing up as a leader. I'm going to just briefly talk about how this was created and why it was created, and from my playbook of the standout debrief, I'm going to just tell you a little bit. So first of all, Marcus Buckingham is the author. He wrote a beautiful book. I have it here in my background. It's this book, Love and Work. And if you want to go in more detail and learn more about him, he has beautiful videos that you can see and you can definitely use for inspiration and for really finding out more about yourself. But before we go into this details, I just want to make sure that you are going to understand what exactly this assessment is about. And he's doing something beautiful. He's looking at 3 things that are very important. And the intersection of those 3 things is where his research is focusing on. So first of all, we're looking at how are your recurring patterns and thoughts and feeling and behaviors. So those are our traits. And then it's overlapping that with our strengths. So we're looking at these activities that are making us feel strong, activities that we love to do, or things that we know we are very good at them. And overlapping those 2 with another area, which is very important, and is the contribution, the impact that we're making in and we're creating in this world. When we put all those 3 together, what we're getting in the middle is where are we at our best. And don't you want to know that? Don't you want to know where you are the best? And what is that you are seen by others that you are the best in what you're doing? Because as you know, it's very easy for us to think that we know ourselves, but I'm telling you, we don't. When we get something like this happening, and what we're going to read an assessment that based on our input, right? Because we're actually answering those questions for 20 minutes, it's going to reveal about you how others are seeing you and what are you doing. And that is very important, because everybody's it's born to lead in one way. Even the people who said, I don't want to lead anybody to anything, they are leading it. They're leading those that are quiet, those that are not so vocal sometimes. They are leading everybody else. So how we're looking at this, we're going to just understand the roles that we have. And there are 9 of those roles that we see each other in our work. And you could also use it when we say that we're using it at our work. Please understand that what you're doing at home, it's also contribution to this world. So if you're a parent, when you're moving from your role that you have a 9 to 5, or if you're an entrepreneur, you know what I mean when I say that we are and we show up who we are. Doesn't matter in what environment and context. So what we're going to do at work and how we apply things there is going to be reflected how we're doing it at home. So we're going to just verify what are based on our greatest values and our roles. The first 2 and the second one, the first and the second one are the one that are the most powerful, the one that show up the most in us. And that is important because you want to see how you could actually make an immediate impact. How can you tweak what you learn about yourself to really take your performance to a higher level? And also to watch out for certain things, right? Because you're going to discover certain things about yourself that are not going to, you don't know about them, right? And you're going to be in that position to think about how can I use those strengths as a career advantage or as an advantage in how I deal with everything that's happening on a daily basis. In other words, I want you to learn how to win all the time by discovering yourself, by putting the light on yourself first, understanding very well who you are and what are the best gifts that you have and the strengths and how you sometimes show up and why people may interpret you in a different way that you really want to. You're going to understand all of this from this assessment. So I'm going to just go briefly about all the definitions for each of those. And advisors, for example, they're practical, they're a concrete thinker. They're people who they are at their the best, most powerful when they're reacting and solving other people's problem. I think you know somebody like that, right? And if you don't know somebody, you know me. I'm an advisor. You also look at how your connectors are absolutely beautiful because they are catalysts. They are the ones where their power relies in this way of craving and putting together, designing those things that are so important to make something bigger and that it is right now. Connectors are very important in any teams to have. Creators, those are the people who make the sense of the world and they put it apart and they want to see much better configuration and they want to create it. They want to look for solutions in that way. Equalizers are absolutely essential because those are the level-headed people whose power comes from keeping the world in balance, and they care so much about that ethically and practically. Influencers are also the ones who are engaging and they are directly and convincing people to act. The power is the persuasions. And if you don't know anybody who is pushing you sometimes, you know me. I'm also an influencer. How about the pioneers? Pioneers are also the ones who are looking at the world in a very friendly place, as a very friendly place. And they look around and they can also see what is around a corner. They're those people who are going to find out and they know that the good things are going to happen, but their power starts in their optimism and in the way they face any uncertainty. Very powerful to have a pioneer in your team. You need that. You need that when a challenge is happening, and you do need somebody to actually see the solutions and see around the corner and give you the entire team that optimism that's needed. Because when we have an optimist, if you remember from what we discussed at the time, our brain is working in a different way than when it's pessimist and when it's worried. So different functions of the brain are coming up, and the creative mind and the solution finding, it's coming up and it's lighting up when people are at their positive side, not on the negative, not when we're looking for all kind of problems. So an optimist is always very good to have in your team. Providers are also those who have the sense of, they can feel other people, and they would like to make sure that they recognize those feelings and give them the voice and act on those voice. You probably found providers that are in the team that they start to think about everybody else, and they just say, wait, let's make sure it's a win-win-win situation that we're going to create. There are also stimulators. Those are the host of other people's emotions, and they feel responsible for them. They can turning them around, they can elevate them. You didn't need a stimulator in your team. If you think about how important it is when somebody comes along and they're just the energy kind of levels up, and it's that person who comes in and say, okay, I was waiting for this person to show up today. They put a smile on our face. Teachers, the ninth one, is a teacher who is also thrilled by to see and to have this potential in another person. Their power comes from learning how to unleash that. Are very important, because those are sometimes the most and the effective mentors we can find. So just looking at those 9 quick definitions of those roles. You do have all of those 9 roles, but you're leading with 2 of them. So when you're going to take this assessment, you will see how that happens and what exactly are the 2 that are leading you. And you're probably going to read it and be like me, or say like, oh, I don't think I'm doing that. Or, oh, wow, this is exactly what I'm doing, and now I know why. So it's going to be very, very interesting to find and to read this report. Please don't take it lightly. Use it, because it's going to be useful. I can also go over some other things, but challenges and how each of this role is. I can just give you one thing from everyone. So going back to advisors, you're going to see them that they are at the most excited when they bring value. They see that their opinion and insight is valued. Of course, we all probably want that, but advisors are the one that they would like to be taken seriously when they say something. And that is because they put a lot of thought in what they do, and they come prepared to make that contribution. They excel by just aligning themselves with experts in their field. So you're going to find them that they're there all the time, on top of learning their field and in depth, and they would like to be consulting when it's needed. And just how to keep them engaged, I would say, will be by setting up with opportunities to make sure that around they build relationship with other experts. There are also some challenges. How to challenge an advisor would be just by asking them to improve on current processes or systems that are satisfactory but not stellar. So at that point, it's going to light the bulb up, and they would like to make everything to become running smoothly. I'm going to go back to connectors, and I'll tell you that their catalyst is speeding up their engagement and between people and groups. And those are the people who are kind of thinking about, would it be great if we do this and that? So kind of thinkers and pushing people to think in that way. And how those how connectors excel is by going beyond their usual hunt and gatherings and to make connections. That we are great at doing that. How to keep them engaged will be to spend time connecting with the team, introduce them to the most valued advisors and making connections and trust. This trust means the world to them. So think about that. It's very important as we discuss the trust in a team, but you're going to see that for some of those roles that are inherited, we have them innate in us, we are going to value more about the trust, more or less, so depending on our roles. We can involve them, how to challenge them. You want to involve them in recruiting efforts, and you want to keep their stakes high to finding the best people for whatever business or whatever role it is. Let's look at creators. Creators are so devoted to make sense of things. You got to give them the time. So they excel by using their understanding of patterns and present it to colleagues with better ways of doing things. So you want the creator to keep them engaged. You want to acknowledge them for their ideas. You want to make sure that they get credit for them and that they can put their name onto them. The value of their ideas is about everything. So that's how you can keep them engaged. And how to challenge some of the creators. You can put them in their critics' line of fire and make them stand up for defend their ideas, and to the people who are impacted by them. So they need this reality check. That's how you can challenge them. So let's go to equalizers. They are very, as I said, predictable and consistent, and they excel by speaking their values. You want to let them and want to pay attention what they say, what their values are, and why they want to keep things in balance. You want to define the responsibility clearly and communicate your expectations often. So this clarity gives them that certainty, and the feeling of certainty is the most important to keep them motivated. How to challenge the equalizers, then you could help them understand that sometimes treating people fairly, it means treating people differently, and rather than treating everyone the same. Let's look at influencers. The influencers are charming and direct. How you want to, they excel by just picking a roadblock that everybody is frustrated, and and how people to go past that. You gotta let them do that, because that's what they excel at it. Have a problem in front of them, just let them go through it. And then how to keep them engaged will be just to publicly thank them, probably, for their contribution. They recognize the value of doing this for others, so their value it, so they can also value it themselves. How to challenge them? You want to share your challenges with them and ask for their help. They like to get an inside scoop and be trusted with the critical information. Absolutely, if you go to a doctor or if you go somewhere, you do need to have all the information needed. Lawyers need the same thing. It's the same thing in organizations when you need to share that critical information, and especially when you bring somebody to have this influence or to influence the entire team to move or act to a place, which influencers do. So let's look at the pioneers. And for the pioneers, if you like to look at how they're oriented toward action. They are the one who are going to be, you're going to see them that they don't have, they get bored pretty quickly. So you want to keep them engaged in different things and let them create new things. So they excel will be by leading with their natural instinct to be curious and critical. First curious and second critical. And how to keep them engaged will be make them mentors and rising stars in the organization. They will love that. Have a new and have something good to do all the time. Have them showcase, to challenge them. If you like to challenge them, then you gotta have them showcase how their innovations have served others. They may not take the time to do this unprompted. So because they kind of live in the future, but this background is going to help them build their credibility. Let's look at providers. So providers who are also thinking if everybody is okay, they are attuned to others' feelings. So you have to know that emotionally are very insightful. So how to they excel by seeking out complex situation in which trust has disappeared and conflict kind of regains. So you want to use them in that circumstances. How to keep a provider engaged will be by acknowledge their feeling and the feelings of others. They follow people who are emotionally astute and perform the best when they feel understood. They are the ones who are going to take the time to understand things. So if you want to challenge them, you got to push them to manage larger and more important objectives. They can handle a lot of responsibilities, but they don't know it yet. So you got to show them that, right? Let's look at the stimulators. Stimulators who are naturally focused. Those are thinking about the energy. They're keeping the energy up. So energized by other people's emotions. And you want to know that they excel by getting into a situation that offers them an immediate response. How to keep them engaged? You're going to celebrate their successes publicly, and the bigger audience, the better for them. How to challenge them? Well, ask them for facts and data to support their opinions. Ensure that they've done their research and make this an essential aspect of their presentations. I'm going to look at the last one here, the teacher, and I'm going to tell you, yes, they can just think about how can we learn from any of the things that we're doing. How can we learn from this? So caring about people and the progress that they make, this is going to be the characteristics of a teacher. And how they excel, they will be by offering to help track progress. And help people to track the progress is going to be something that they will excel at. If you're going to want to keep them engaged, you want to expose them to other teachers, and you want to create this opportunity to help them to build their learning networks. How to challenge a teacher will be by stretching them to develop their theories and publish their work and gain people who gain an audience that they can just use it for the future. So that was in a very short run, about, 20 minutes, I think, how and what you could find and learn from this assessment. So I'm going to leave again the link for you to take it. And please reach out through a DM and just let me know that you are ready to move forward and have a debrief. Because when you come and if you do this with your team, as you see their hints for you as a leader, after you understand what are your roles that you're leading with, then you could also know how can you best leverage the others in your team. And this can make a very good use of your time, and learning about your team's strengths is going to be where you're going to get the most bucks for your money, for the investment that you're actually going to put in understanding and discovering everyone who is in your team. As a leader, it's critical for you to do that, but so few are finding this time and putting it intentionally in their meeting. I know you have probably a one-on-one with every member of the team. Please make sure that you make the best out of that and look for the things that you can support them, to raise them and to make them bigger. That's the great definition of a relationship. Use it even at your work. I'm going to leave you here, and I'm going to see you next week, the same time around 12 o'clock. Thank you very much. Leave me any comments and any questions in the links and the comments below. Thank you. Bye-bye.